Good afternoon. Today is the 14th of March 2022. This is Newsfirst lunchtime news where the people come first. Before we take a look at the stories for this afternoon in detail, let's take a look at the headlines.
People take matters to the streets, protests across the country. Bus fares to increase from tonight. Minimum bus fare to be 20 rupees. Long queues to purchase fuel and gas seen today as well.
හතකින් ඩීසල් වැඩි කළාම මට වහාම ඉල්ලා ආස්වෙන්නේ ඇයි කෝට්ටුවේ මහලේකම්තුම් සාගර කාර්යවසම් මැතිතුමා දැනුම් දුන්නා නම් රුපියල් 55කින් මිල වැඩි කරද්දී එතුමා ජීවිතුන් අතර සිටියා නම් මොන ජංජාලයක් නටයිද කියලා කාටවත් හිතා ගන්න.
An IMF representative arrives in the country. Foreign Minister of Saudi Arabia also arrives in the country.
Now to those stories in detail. Ministry of Energy said stocks of fuel are being distributed across the country. However, our correspondents reported that long queues of people waiting to purchase fuel can be seen in many areas across the country.
Farmers, bus drivers, operators of office transport services and lorry drivers were among those waiting in line to purchase fuel. According to our correspondents, long queues were seen at certain fuel stations since last night. This was the situation in Colombo this morning. This fuel station in Dalugama Kalaniya only sold petrol as they ran out of diesel. Our correspondent reported that fuel stations in Anuradhapura too did not have adequate stocks of fuel. The only fuel station where diesel was available was selling diesel only up to 4,000 rupees. People in Jayantipura, Polonnaruwa and Kungurakuda were severely inconvenienced today due to the shortage of fuel. Many people were seen in queues to purchase diesel required for machines used to harvest their fields. There are queues for gas today as well. Since morning, a long queue was seen at a Litro gas dealership store in the Kadavatta town. A lorry carrying gas arrived at the location. However, the supply was not sufficient for the demand. People were seen in long queues in Malikavatta earlier this morning. What about kerosene? With the shortage of gas in the country, the demand for kerosene has increased. People were seen at stores to purchase kerosene stoves. People were seen at a fuel station in Urukodavatta to purchase kerosene oil. Will there be power cuts today? Groups P to W will experience a 2-hour power cut between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. and a 1-hour power cut between 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. According to the Public Utilities Commission, for groups A to L, the power supply will be disrupted for 2.5 hours between 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. and 1 hour and 15-minute power cut between 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. The National Transport Commission says a decision has been reached to increase the bus fares with effect from midnight today. Accordingly, bus fares will be increased by 19 or 20 rupees. Nilan Miranda said the bus fare revisions will be presented to the Cabinet of Ministers for approval today. Meanwhile, Private Bus Owners Association Chairman Gamanu Wijayaratna said that private bus operations will be limited between 15 to 25%. This is owing to the fuel price hike.
A shortage in medicine?
As of today, there is a shortage of medicines in the hospital system that are prescribed for patients with high blood pressure, chronic kidney diseases, cancer and thalassemia. Instead of addressing this shortage of medicine, the prices in the private sector has been increased, further burdening the patients. If you are justifying the decision to increase the prices of medicine based on the rate of the US dollar, the law should be enforced in the name of medicines to broaden the opportunity for patients to obtain their pharmaceutical drugs. We would like to suggest that the medicines remaining in the storage facilities be issued to patients at the previous rates.
When will Sri Lanka receive fuel? The Ministry of Energy has said that a ship carrying 20,000 metric tons of diesel arrived in the island. The ministry stated that swift steps have been taken to distribute the stock of diesel that arrived in the island last Friday. The ship that was supposed to unload the stocks of diesel on Friday was delayed due to a technical issue on board the ship. The Ministry of Energy stated that the ship was carrying a consignment of 38,000 metric tons of diesel.
During my tenure as the Energy Minister, when I increased prices of diesel by ₹7 as per the recommendations of the Prime Minister and the President, General Secretary of the SLPP asked me to resign. Against such a backdrop, when the price is increased by ₹55, what would have Sagala Karyawasam done? Due to the massive fuel price hike, the people have been severely affected. The hike in global fuel prices is not the only reason behind this domestic fuel price increase. Many other reasons affected this. Mismanagement of foreign reserves, the massive depreciation in the rupee value caused by artificially controlling the foreign exchange rates for more than a year can be seen as reasons for this fuel price hike. Moreover, many reasons including not maintaining an interest rate appropriate for the inflation rate of the country and not limiting non-essential imports caused this condition. The government earns 750 million rupees for a day through taxes charged on fuel. Instead of fully burdening the public, if unnecessary expenses like this tax is cut down, the people would gain that benefit. Certain ministers of the government are saying that the price of diesel increased because I announced it. Let's assume that that is the truth. If so, why is there a shortage of medicine, iron, cement, gas, milk powder, wheat flour? There's only one reason for these shortages. That is a shortage of dollars.
Taking a look at a headline-making story, a senior official of the International Monetary Fund will be visiting Sri Lanka today and tomorrow to brief President Gotabaya Rajapaksa regarding the economic situation. This was confirmed by Sri Lanka Mission Chief Masahiro Nozaki. Sri Lanka has not yet officially made a request for a bailout, but the IMF has said it is ready to assist. In more news, Foreign Minister of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, Prince Faisal bin Farhan Al Saud, arrived in Sri Lanka this morning on an official visit. The duty manager Bandar Naik International Airport said the Saudi Arabian Foreign Minister was accompanied by a 17-member delegation. Prince Faisal and his delegation were welcomed by officials attached to the Foreign Ministry. The Saudi Arabian delegation is set to depart the island this evening. In more local news, people have taken matters to streets in several areas across the country demanding solutions to the rising cost of living.
Area residents of Ginigathena took to the streets today demanding solutions to the increase in fuel price and rising cost of living. Religious rituals were observed at the Bandara Devalaya in Kandy today, hoping for prosperity and an end to the cruel times faced by the people in the country. Leaflets were distributed to the people today in an attempt to spread awareness about the consequences of transferring national assets to foreign countries. This was the Socialist Youth Union. The Joint Development Officers Association is staging a protest opposite the Isirupaya premises. The protest is staged citing several demands including a minimum age for those engaged in teaching industry.
Taking a look at the latest developments coming in from the Russia-Ukraine war, Russia has said it is banking on China's help to withstand the crippling economic sanctions placed by the Western nations over the war in Ukraine, as the United States warned Beijing not to provide that lifeline.
Russian Finance Minister Anton Siluanov said sanctions had deprived Moscow of access to $300 billion of its $640 billion in gold and foreign exchange reserves, and added that there was pressure on Beijing to shut off more. He said yesterday that Russia has part of their gold and foreign exchange reserves in the Chinese currency in yuan, adding that, quote-unquote, we see what pressure is being exerted by Western countries on China in order to limit mutual trade with China. Western countries have imposed unprecedented sanctions on Russia's corporate and financial systems since it invaded Ukraine on the 24th of February in what it calls a special military operation. Meanwhile, the US says China will face harsh consequences if it aids Russia in its invasion of Ukraine. Officials reportedly told multiple US news outlets that Russia asked China to provide military assistance after it began the invasion. The Chinese embassy in Washington said it was not aware of this request. The warning comes ahead of a meeting in Rome on Monday between top US and China officials.
Taking a look back at some local news, the following views were expressed in the political sphere regarding the economic situation in the country. The government must be in a position to provide relief to the people when the people are facing hardships. That is the responsibility of the government. We don't need a government to allow the foreign exchange rate to float or allow the businesses to decide prices. However, unfortunately, this government is not even attempting to provide relief to the people. It is Basil Rajapaksa who is working behind the curtains in this massive development project. He is now facing many insults. I ask the opposition, where is the economic plan of Sajith Premadasa? Reveal it to the country. Anura Kumar Disanayaka must reveal his plan to develop the economy. We will stand with you if you do.
Only in our country will you see a poor population and rich leaders. This is not a natural phenomenon. This is a political phenomenon. This country cannot be developed without using politics as a tool to serve the people once again. Today, if two parties make a certain deal, they will be able to come into power whenever they want. However, the reason behind this economic downfall cannot be identified only by looking at that switch in power.
The economic crisis has worsened. People could take matters to the streets. If that happens, this crisis will further worsen. We will face disciplinary actions when we say these things. We are facing a dollar shortage. Why did that happen? If a mistake has taken place, it must be admitted first. No government wants to see the people facing the brunt of inflation and economic drawbacks during their reign. This crisis with regards to the dollar shortage did not occur as a result of funds being abused and mismanaged by those in the government. Today we don't have foreign reserves. It seems that we are nearing death. The situation is similar to a patient with cancer. It is worsening. There is a requirement to make it stop. Everyone must unite when doing that. When a minister is told that there is a shortage of rice, he had said that there is enough rice. Yes, however, that rice is imported. It has failed. We must admit it. Due to severe economic conditions, farmers are facing numerous hardships as of today. The continuous shortage of fertilizer has led to a reduction of harvests.
Farmers of Dimulagala Polanaruwa said that the harvests of Maha season have reduced by 50% owing to the fertilizer shortage. Farmers of Dimulagala, Allavawa and Navamilana areas say that they were able to collect only 150 bundles of paddy from 2.5 acres of paddy fields during the previous season.
In more local news, Minister of Environment Mahinda Amaravira has instructed the Geological Survey and Mines Bureau to temporarily suspend the issuance of permits for sand mining on land. Minister Amaravira pointed out that sand mining on land causes severe damages to the environment, adding that the Valevatta village in Ambalangoda has been completely destroyed as a result of sand mining on land. According to the minister, sand mining on land has caused destructions to paddy fields as well as coconut estates, among others. Environment Ministry said a special team of the Geological Survey and Mines Bureau will conduct an in-depth survey in this regard and compile a report. Further decisions in this regard will be taken based on the recommendations of this report. Moving on in more local news, a retired doctor from Piliyandala and 2 other suspects who were arrested and detained over the discovery of a hand grenade from All Saints Church in Borella were further remanded to the 29th of March. This was ordered by Colombo Additional Magistrate Rajendra Jayasuriya today.
Prison officials were ordered to produce the suspects in court on the 29th of March as they are currently in remand custody. The Colombo Crimes Division informed the court that it is conducting investigations as per provisions of the Offensive Weapons Act, and these investigations are yet to conclude. The CCD requested that alternative data be awarded to make submissions to the court on the progress of the investigations, and thereby the court ordered for the case to be called up again on the 29th of March.
And that brings us to an end of this edition of Lunchtime News here on TV1. For the News First team, I'm Sanita Senanayaka. Take care and stay safe.